Welcome to another edition of Morning Market Call. We are shooting on location at the Investors Professional Conference in front of the Hinckley Alumni Center. And with me today is Brian Murphy, one of the founders and managing partners of Portfolio Advisors, which is a fund of funds firm. Brian, thanks for being with us.
Happy to be here.
So let's talk a little bit about your background. You were a BYU undergrad. What did you study?
I graduated from BYU in 1986 with emphasis in international business and accounting.
And then you went on to do an MBA at Columbia?
I actually went directly to Columbia. I didn't work for a couple years in between. I did the normal, apply to Harvard, apply to Wharton, Chicago, Columbia. Because I had started a business and had run two different businesses while I was in college, plus my mission, they accepted me directly in, and so we headed to New York.
So tell us a little bit how you came to found Portfolio Advisors and what the path has been getting it up and running, and now with $28 billion under management.
Okay. Well, I got out of Columbia and I started as an investment banker and had the opportunity to work in a variety of different groups and capacities with the investment bank. The area that I ultimately settled on was the restructuring and reorganization advisory group. We're effectively hired by creditor committees to fix broken LBOs. And so I got to learn a lot about the private equity industry from the deals that went bad. And so we were fixing KKR deals and TPG deals and other things like that. And I found it fascinating. We had the opportunity to take over a large $400 million portfolio that had been put together by some advisors in the state of Kansas. And we stepped in as the replacement general partner when those founders had been fired and sued. And so that gave me the opportunity to be a GP, work directly with the companies. I sat on 13 different board of directors.
Wow.
We had public companies and private companies. And so it gave me a very good idea of what was required to be a good investor and grow these companies and make money. That deal I took from the bank to a startup that a couple of my friends and I did. We managed it for 6 years. As we dwindled down that portfolio, we then left and we started Portfolio Advisors. They came across as our first client. They gave us $1 billion of new capital to invest. We had General Reinsurance as a client, and we were kind of, that was the foundation for us. So we were investing at that point in time about $100 million to $200 million a year, solely in partnerships. As we grew the business, we launched a fund of funds business about 5 years after we started Portfolio Advisors. We've run a back office business where we do the monitoring and reporting for large institutions, Verizon, IBM, MetLife, and organizations like that. And that provides us lots and lots of contact with the general partners because we track over 2,000 funds. So we got a huge database that's coming in, and then we're researching it, and then we're meeting with general partners and investing the capital. So over the years, what we found was that if you were honest, if you were consistent in your story, if you invested well and you built a track record, and you stayed in front of people enough that they would remember you when they wanted to deploy capital, that we started to get an increasing share of that capital. Just as an example, when we launched our fund of funds business, our first fund was $75 million. It took us over 2 years to raise. We met with 100 people, and we got 4 of them to invest. As we grew, our next fund was $179 million. Our next one was $660 million, and then our last 3 funds have been over $1 billion each. And what we found was that the people that we had pitched early on would repeat with us, but we also had credibility with new people. And so consultants are a big part of our industry. They have many, many clients, and so when we would get a consultant that would put us on their buy list, that would give us tremendous leverage. And so we went from 0 consultants backing us in Fund 1, 2 consultants backed us in Fund 2, about a dozen in Fund 3, and now we're on the buy list of about 65 consultants around the world. So that helps tremendously. And the momentum picked up. In the last 5 years, even through the financial crisis, we've raised about $5 billion. And as a result, it's a good business, it's a profitable business, it's a fun business. Everyone asks me why I travel 4 days a week, and that's because I'm in charge of all of our marketing, client service, and I co-head our advisory practice, and that kind of keeps me on the road, but I wouldn't do it if I didn't enjoy it.
An amazing track record, amazing success story. Last question, you mentioned to me you once had a run-in with a certain senator. You want to share that story?
Well, we were hired by the state of Kansas to turn around their broken portfolio. They had invested about $385 million in 60 different companies. And we went through the recession of 90, 91, 92, and a lot of these companies were dying. And so we had a software company that had missed its build out. They were launching a new product, and the development cycle had stretched 3 years. And everyone was waiting for the new product, so they stopped buying the old products, and they were just bleeding cash. And so when we were hired, we looked at all of the portfolio, we did our kind of triage assessment, we said, this one has to die. And so we called up the board, we said we're shutting the company down, we're not putting any more money in, and we notified all of the employees. There were about 80 employees in Wichita, Kansas, that tomorrow was their last day. And that happened to be in the district of Senator Bob Dole. And so my phone rang one day, and I hear, Mr. Murphy, this is Senator Bob Dole. Why are you putting people out of work in my district? We had a pleasant chat for about 15 minutes and concluded by saying, we're sorry, but we're putting the company out of business. He wasn't very pleased with it, but you quickly learn that money is power, and worked out pretty well.
There you go. Well, thank you so much for being with us, Brian. We appreciate it. For Morning Market Call, I'm Doug Mumford. Visit us at mmc.byu.edu. See us next time.
Morning Market Call is brought to you by the Marriott School of Management in cooperation with the Brigham Young University Department of Communications. MMC is made possible by generous donations from Larry Tasjan and Gary Williams. This show was produced by Jeff Butler, Janessa Cloward, David Wood, and Doug Mumford, with line producing by Beth Grimmett. For more information, please follow us on Twitter and Facebook.